I've been a leader in customer service and IT customer service for about 15 years. And there are a few things that I always find myself saying to employees, trainees, people that come on, both in like coaching, in the management and the mentorship, but also in the training aspects when I talk to people that have become a part of my vernacular, where if you ask pretty much anyone who's ever worked for me, some of the things I say, I have a feeling that these 5 things would probably come to the surface for what they would say are my buzzwords or my terms or the things that I lean on. There's a few things that I think translate into all the different industries I've worked. Primarily, what I've been doing is managing IT service desks, help desks, but these do translate to a lot of customer service, especially when you're working on phone support. So the first one, and this is one that I have mentioned not only to agents, but I've also mentioned it to other leaders at conferences and meetings, and it always tends to resonate with people. Even though I came from, one company to a different environment, to a different industry, to another company, to a different environment, different industry, and I've been in different environments and industries, this one rule has still stayed true for all the phone support, regardless of where we are, and that is the 15-minute rule. When I say 15 minutes, I'm not talking about get the user off the phone in 15 minutes. If you tell your agents, your phone agents, to get someone off the phone in 15 minutes, you are going to have people who are very good at gathering the information, and you're going to have people who just are focused on their call times. And you're going to have people who, I can't do this in 15 minutes, so therefore I'm just not even going to try. That's the reality when you force people to hit a target. But the 15-minute rule is focused on the information you can gather from the customer. In 15 minutes, your conversation with the customer, your leading questions, your probing questions, the information you have to gather for them, it should take you 15 minutes or less to know if you will be able to solve this issue in 15 minutes. Maybe it takes you 5 minutes. Okay, so you're having issues with this, this, and this. Okay, I've discovered what you're doing, and I know how to fix it. Now, at that point, you should know, is that going to take you 15 minutes to fix, or is that going to take you 25 minutes to fix? Is that going to take you 45 minutes to fix, or is that going to take you less than 15 minutes to fix? The 15-minute rule is really, in less than 15 minutes, you should know, can you fix that issue in less than 15 minutes? If you can't, it's usually better to get that customer, that user, off the phone and call them back when you have a better solution, or to escalate the ticket if you're working at a tier 1 desk. I've watched agents that have spent an hour on the phone, sometimes 40, 50 minutes on the phone, working through an issue. Sometimes that works with a customer, sometimes, an end user in IT, sometimes that's what you need to do. They need to get up and running. You have to sit on the phone with them and you have to work through that. However, if you are just trying things and nothing's working and throwing stuff at the wall, you're kind of just wasting your time and the customer's time. It would be better if you took 15 minutes to gather the information, recognize I'm not going to be able to solve this in 15 minutes, and then you do research and you work on that issue. And once you think you have another way to go, then you call the customer back. So I've been looking into this, and can I just try a couple things with you? That is better for the customer, and that shows that you respect the customer's time. You're not wasting the customer's time by leaving them on the phone while you do that research. A lot of times you can do that research off the phone and call the customer back. By using the 15-minute rule and applying that in your customer service, am I going to be able to solve this in 15 minutes or less? No, I'm not going to waste the customer's time. Then I am going to get this to someone who can solve it quicker, or I'm going to do research and call the customer back when I have a solution. That is going to help your customers out better, and it also shows that you care about their time. My second piece of advice is something that I have heard it many times. Smile when you answer the phone. There is a discernible difference between someone who is talking with a smile and someone who is not. I've had agents throughout the years that have had tone issues, and it's not because they're angry people, it's just that they have tone issues. Hey, thank you for calling the help desk. How can I help you today? And what's the issue today? Okay, so what are you seeing on your screen? So what's the actual error? Okay, but what does it say? There's an inflection that happens when you're not smiling. I'm not asking you or telling you to talk with a question mark at the end of every sentence, but it can also lead somewhere. Now, what's your name? How are you today? You can do that at the end of everything. So what do you see on your screen? There is a way to talk and make your inflection sound like a human. That's a later point. We will get to that. Smiling while you're on the phone, there is a difference between, "Hi, how can I help you today?" and "Hi, how can I help you today?" "Hey, thank you for calling the help desk. My name is Michael. Can I get your first and last name?" "Hi, thank you for calling the help desk. My name is Michael. Can I get your first and last name?" I definitely sound more engaged when I'm smiling than when I'm not. "Great. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" "Well, thank you for calling the help desk, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend." "Well, is there anything else I can help you with today?" "Okay, well, thank you for calling the help desk, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend." Especially if you have issues with tone, or you have agents with issues with tone, or maybe you're just not used to answering the phone, a very simple way to bring your tone to being more engaged with your customer is to just smile when you speak. There is some weird psychological thing that happens that when you're smiling when you speak, even if you really don't want to smile because this person is absolutely driving me insane, you can vent after you hang up the phone. You can sit back, "Oh man, that was difficult." But don't let that come across in your voice. And by smiling, it's very hard to let that frustration come across in your voice while you're on the phone with the customer. Number 3 is be honest, but don't over communicate. There is a very fine line and a very difficult thing in especially the IT industry when you're working with phone support to be honest about the issue, but not use jargon and not give too much information. Sometimes when you're working at a technical desk, you get a call from someone who knows a lot of technical information. Those people can sometimes be nice to deal with. They can sometimes be very difficult to deal with, but they want to know all this stuff, and you can be honest, but don't over communicate. So you don't have to tell them how your system works. You don't have to tell them how your process works. You don't have to tell them all your procedures. You don't have to tell them how the systems, the servers, and everything interact. That's over communication. Oftentimes, the end user doesn't care, and they don't need to know that. But you want to be honest with them. Are there issues with this system all the time? I have seen some issues with it. I've seen similar problems with other people, but by and large, it does seem to work pretty well. I do think that the issues that you're highlighting are issues that have been something that have come up, and it does look like they are working on them. That's okay to tell a user most of the time. Now, there's a difference between, and this is kind of a sub-point, so this is 3A, there's a difference between being honest and demonizing your product. Never, ever, ever demonize your product to the customer, period. I don't care what industry you're in. If you're in retail, if you're in customer service, anywhere, if you're on a IT help desk, a service desk, whatever you're doing, never demonize a product to a customer. If a customer calls in and says, "I hate PCs, I hate Windows, they're terrible, why do they make us use Windows, I want to use a Mac," and if you say, "Oh, I feel you, I love my Mac, I don't know why they make us use PCs," you have just undermined your company, and you've undermined that customer's company, and you have just thrown Windows under the bus. And if you're working at an internal support, that user now has the ability to go to the IT department and say, "Well, I called your help desk and they told me that they hate Windows too, so I don't want to use Windows anymore. Why would you make me something that even your IT department doesn't like?" Don't let your personal feelings get in that way. I use an iPhone. I use an Android. I use a Mac. I use a PC. I am device agnostic. I know the good and the bad about all of them. And I try to help my agents always understand that there are positives and negatives to everything. There's positives about Google's environment. There's positives about Microsoft's environment. Office 365 is amazing. Google Docs is amazing. Dropbox is amazing. They also all have their issues, but never demonize a product to a user because you just don't know. Especially in customer support, people aren't coming to you and bringing you their computer when it works. They're bringing you their computer when it's broken. If there's a piece of software that you hear about all the time because a user calls in about it, you're only hearing about that piece of software when it's broken. You don't know what it looks like when it's running well because your customer's not calling you and say, "Hey, my product is running really well. I just wanted to show you what the software looks like when it's running well." Never demonize a product. If you're working retail and someone comes in, if you're working at Best Buy or Target or Walmart or whatever, and a customer comes in, "Which one of these are better?" and you say, "That one's terrible," that's an opinion. That might not be what the customer needs. If they are asking for your opinion, give them your opinion in an honest way. That's a part of continuing being honest and not over communicating. And please don't start conversations with, "Well, to be honest, are you not honest the other times?" I guess that's point 3B. Be honest, but don't say, "Well, to be honest," or "Well, honestly." And I struggle with that. That ends up being one of my crutch words, and so I've tried really hard to cut that out of my vocabulary. But honestly, it still slips in every once in a while. So don't demonize any product that's on your shelf, any product that you offer. If you're working at an internet service provider and someone calls in and says, this service is crap, why would you offer it? Yeah, I know, it's pretty terrible. Well, you can bump up to this other tier. You know that this service is terrible and you're still offering it and you're still allowing me to purchase it, then why would your company, if they know it's terrible, why is your company trying to sell it to me in the first place? You do nothing by demonizing a product that you sell or a product that you use. If you use Microsoft Office and you don't like Microsoft Office, that is none of the customer's business. Because if your company has put their money behind that product, it is your responsibility as that customer service rep, as a representative of your company, to support the company's decision to the end user. You might not like it. You can vent to your manager. You can vent to your coworkers about, I hate when blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But do not do that to the customer. By doing so, you're undermining your company and you're also undermining yourself, because the customers often call us because we are the experts or the thought leaders in the field. Even going into retail, you don't go into Best Buy to talk to someone who's not an expert. You don't go into Best Buy to ask them about how a camera works to get someone who doesn't understand how a camera works. You're going into Best Buy because you want to talk to someone who's actually used that camera and you want them to have some level of knowledge. And if they say, I haven't used it, but I see a lot of customers who go with this model over that model, and I think the reason they go with this model over that model is because of these reasons. That gains you a lot more credibility than by just saying, well, this one's great and blah, 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 and you've never used the thing. Be honest. Don't over-communicate. Give the customer exactly what they need. And this brings me to my fourth point, which is don't be a robot. If you have a script on the phone, don't be a robot. Be a human. Talk like a human. Use vocal inflection. Smile when you speak in order to help you use vocal inflection. If you have a script and you're at a customer service desk and you're taking calls on the phone, thank you for calling the help desk. My name is Michael. Can I get your name, please? And how do you spell that last name? And can you confirm your email for me? And where are you calling from today? And what's your problem? Have you tried restarting your computer? Have you tried doing this? If you're not actually listening to the customer, you're failing at customer service. Customer service is legitimately listening to the customer and helping out the customer. Don't be a robot. You can use a script and still be a person. Thank you for calling the help desk. My name is Michael. How can I help you? Can I get your last name, please? Okay, and is that with a Y at the end? If you could just spell that for me, just so I'm sure. Okay, let me see if I can pull up your account for you. Okay, I believe I found you. Can you confirm your email for me? Okay, great. And so what are you calling about today? Okay, yeah, no, yeah, that does sound frustrating, yeah. Well, let's see. I believe that there's a couple different things that we can try. Before we jump into some of the troubleshooting steps, can you just confirm to me, have you restarted your computer yet? A lot of times it does work. So let's restart your computer and we'll see if it continues to be an issue after restarting. You can still accomplish everything I said about the 15-minute rule by being conversational and not being over conversational. Now, if you were to say, have you tried restarting your computer yet? Well, the reason you restart your computer is because what happens is by restarting the computer, it releases a lot of this pent-up memory cache that is built up on your computer. So sometimes what people will do with their laptops is they'll just close the lid and it puts it to sleep. But what that does is the sleep mode actually holds on to this memory. So when you open the computer, it can resume back to the state that you were at. And so what happens is it builds up this cache of information and all this memory, everything that's happening. It's just kind of building all this information that's kind of compiling into a temp folder. That is way too much information to explain why you would restart a computer. The customer says, why would I restart a computer? You can give a little piece of that information. You don't have to over-explain it. And this is another thing that I've heard people do, and this flows into the don't be a robot thing, is don't give them every option of everything they can possibly see. You don't know what the customer is looking at, so you guide them with questions, but you don't tell them. What is it you're seeing on your screen? Well, I see an error message. I have had agents, multiple agents, who have given examples of what the error message is saying. Okay, well, what does the error message say? Does it say your computer doesn't have enough memory? Does it say there is an issue with this program and had to close? Does it say the message cannot be displayed? Okay, can you stop talking so I can tell you what the error message actually says? If you're going to ask a question, you need to be willing to wait for the answer. I like that. I'm keep adding subpoints here, but if you're going to ask a question, you need to be willing to wait for the answer. Never ask a question if you're not willing to wait for the answer. So my last piece of customer service advice that I often give, that I repeat all the time, so this is number 5, I guess. Ask the unasked question. You will hear a lot of people talk about asking probing questions, asking leading questions. Are you on an Apple computer or is this a Windows PC? But asking the unasked question takes us another step. And this is not only a good thing to do on the phone and in customer service, this is a good thing to do in leadership and management, is to ask the unasked question. If your employee comes to you and says, our benefits are terrible, there is a question being asked there, even though it's not phrased as a question. And you have one or two different responses to that. Well, our benefits are actually very competitive for the industry that we're in. But why are they asking you this question? You can flat out say, why are you asking this question? But asking the unasked question in the technical realm, and when you're working on a help desk, and even in retail, asking the unasked question is one of the most important things you can do. This is something that I used many times when I was implementing a new software. I have implemented Office 365 for an organization more than once. And the unasked question that was the most important to people usually came in response to a statement that was something along the lines of, this is stupid, why are you changing this? I don't like the new email program. Well, what is it that you don't like about the email program? It doesn't do anything like our old email program used to do. Outlook is terrible. I love GroupWise. Outlook doesn't work like GroupWise at all. They're making a statement, but they're asking a question. So what is it you're trying to accomplish right now? That's the question that you can use to get to the core of almost every issue. I don't care if you're working at a help desk, at a place like Comcast, if you're working in health insurance, if you're working in the medical field, if you're working in retail, that one question, that unasked question that a lot of customer service people miss because they take the question at the face value and they answer it. My computer's working, I can't log in. Okay, well, let me check to see if your password expired. You didn't even ask what they were logging into. Are they logging into their email? Are they logging into their computer? Are they logging into a different system? Are they logging into even one of our systems? Maybe they're using a piece of software that we don't even support. Hey, I'm looking for a camera. What are you trying to accomplish? That question, if you're working in retail and you're selling a camera, like the camera I am recording this video on, if I walk into a retail establishment and I say, hey, I'm looking for a camera, and the person said, well, this camera is great, and they pull out a little point and shoot, and they say, this camera is great, everyone uses it, look at the zoom. I don't care about the zoom. I am operating on a DSLR camera. I've been a professional photographer for years. You didn't ask me what I was looking for. You jumped to like, well, this camera's great. Look at the zoom. I don't care about the zoom. I didn't come in here to look at the zoom. If I want a zoom lens, I will buy a zoom lens for my camera. I'm looking for a camera. Well, what is it you're trying to accomplish? My old DSLR is having some issues with this. I'm looking to upgrade. I have just told you what I'm looking for because you ask another question. Hey, what are you trying to accomplish? Well, really, I have not had any camera besides the one on my phone for many years, and I just really want to have a camera that I can use that has a little more zoom, that I can take pictures with and put into my computer and maybe do a little editing with. Do you want something with a really good zoom, or do you want something that takes really good pictures, like more of a professional level camera? By asking that unasked question, what are you trying to accomplish? You have now started a conversation where you are able to get what the customer needs, not what you think the customer needs. You're not putting your expectations on them. If they come in, I am looking for a computer. Well, what are you going to use the computer for? Now that's another video entirely where I will dig into my answers for how I have coached people on what computers to get and what computers to use for the last 15 years. And it's as true now as it was in 2005. So make sure you check that one out. So those are my 5 customer service skills that I have repeated and repeated and repeated to hundreds of agents over the course of the last 15 years when I've been in management, in training, and leadership. And these are things that I still repeat today when I have an agent who has an issue with a customer and I listen to their call and I'm like, hey, this is something that you could have done. Use the 15-minute rule. You were on this call for 25 minutes, and I could tell you that in about 7 minutes after that customer explained the issue to you, I knew that you weren't going to be able to solve that in 15 minutes. Why did you not know that you were not going to be able to solve that in 15 minutes? You're coming across, your tone is really rough. Maybe try smiling when you're talking to the customer. You did really good on the phone with this customer, but they weren't asking the question that you actually answered. You explained a lot of stuff. You were honest, but you explained a lot of stuff they didn't have to hear. You could have told them, well, I'm not able to do that for you, and actually my manager's not able to do that as well. Let me send this to someone who can do it for you. You didn't have to tell them the name of that desk or where you're sending it or how long they usually take to get back to people. That's not your job. Don't be a robot. Don't read your script. Don't say the exact same thing. Don't be monotone. And always ask the unasked question. Listen to the customer. Don't ever ask a question you aren't willing to listen to the answer to. Ask the unasked question. What are you trying to accomplish? Hope this video was helpful. Please hit the comments below. Also, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to continue conversation. Please like, subscribe, follow. I hope you're able to share it with your agents. Maybe you yourself are in customer service and you're just trying to push to the next level. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you for watching.